Today's assignment is Module 2 assignment. The task is to disassemble this revolver. The course is FTH 202 revolvers, and I am Oz, the Grumpy Grindsmith. My name is Kenneth Osborne. Today is Friday the 13th, December 2024. So the first thing we do before we do any maintenance is we talk about safety. Eye protection. Eye protection is good to have when you have moving parts. I have eye protection on. And the next thing we talk about is making sure that our firearm is clear and safe. And as you can see, my chambers are cleared out. So what we're going to do is the process of removing the side plate. I've already removed the hand grip, and I've already removed a couple screws. I just have to remove this screw, which contains a spring and a plunger. As you can see, the spring right there and the plunger. And I'm going to put them in my parts tray so I don't lose them. The steps to removing the side plate is just as simple as finding a tool that won't mar it or ruin it. Give it a couple wraps. Handles of a hammer is a good choice to remove that side plate. I'm going to place it over here in my parts tray. Underneath the side plate, as you see, is all the working components. Some of the working components consist of the hand, the trigger, of course, the hammer with the sear inside of it, and the transfer bar, as you see working there. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these two the mainspring and the trigger spring first. The steps to removing the mainspring and the trigger spring is you cock the hammer. You see there's a hole right here. Paper clip is a good tool to secure that. Release the hammer. I can take out my mainspring. Pull the trigger again. It opens up another hole back here behind the trigger spring where I can contain that spring. And what I want to do is remove that spring. So the easiest way to do that is to flip it over while I'm controlling this firing pin, retaining pin, so it doesn't fall out. And I'll pick a small punch and I'll just push it out just a little bit. It doesn't take too much pressure. It might take more time than others depending on the firearm. And I take my trigger spring and I stick it there. Now, the way these things work is as the trigger is pulled, everything simultaneously works. As you see, the hammer begins to rotate. The hand moves up, which rotates the cylinder. The cylinder rotates until it is locked by the cylinder lock. The hammer will go all the way to the rear. Now, if I'm doing it in single action, it'll lock the hammer to the rear. And the sear right here will maintain the hammer until I pull the trigger, where the bolt will release. The hammer will go forward, striking the transfer bar, and in the firing pin, you're firing off your round. The next step is to remove all the components. So I'm going to begin by removing the trigger, or the hammer. There's my hammer. I want to remove the hand, and I'm going to block that spring in so I don't lose the spring, as well as pushing. And there's the hand, and there's the spring for the hand. I got a special tool here to pull it out. Pull out the plunger. Can I grab the spring? Yeah, I'm just gonna pour the spring out. There's the spring right there. Now I want to keep these separate from things, so I'm going to put this in another tray over here. That leaves the trigger, which should just lift straight out. That leaves the transfer bar, which should lift straight out. At this point, I'm able to remove the cylinder by pulling back. Maybe I'm not. Come on. Here we go. Take off my cylinder. Place it over there, in which case that opens up my cylinder lock. So the trick to cylinder lock basically is to get it rotated all the way down. So the saddle's on here and there. That way it'll lift out because you got to get it past that open gate. You want to use a small tool to grab it out. Put that also in tray so I don't lose it. Which leaves my firing pin spring, and the firing pin retaining pin. There's my spring, retaining pin. I'm going to put them in a separate tray because I don't want to lose. I don't want to mix them up with other springs. What leaves are thumb piece. Utilizing the correct size screwdriver, I remove the screw and the thumb piece. Flip it over. I'm able to remove my bolt and its spring. I'm going to place them in a safe spot. This is a complete disassembled frame, which allows me to do any maintenance on the firearm, any cleaning I need to do, or additional maintenance at this point, because I might have already done the workings. So I demonstrated on how to remove the side plate. I described some of the main parts. I showed you how all the 8 workings of the 8 steps of the workings of this. I removed everything, and I show you a strip frame. This is FTH 202, the disassembly of a revolver. I'm Kenneth Osborne, Oz the Grumpy Gunsmith. Thank you for joining me Friday the 13th, December 2024. Be safe and have a wonderful